Pleased to be welcomed by Shuswap MLA Greg Kyllo of the BC Liberals. Thank you so much for joining me, Greg. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing great, Nathan. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you for joining us. Let's jump right in. Before we get to the hockey, just tell us a little bit about your background, perhaps, and how you got into politics.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in Fort St. John, spent the first 10 years of my life up in Fort St. John before our family relocated to Sicamous. So Sicamous has been my home residence for the last, going on 43 years now. Just had my 53rd birthday. And got involved with Sicamous politics back in 2011 and had an opportunity to meet Christy Clark, then Premier Clark. And she convinced me that it was the right thing for my family to do, to step aside from the corporate interests that I had in Sicamous and take a run at replacing George Abbott, who was our former MLA for the Shuswap. So yeah, it's been 8 years now. We had the fall election, so just reelected for my third term. And it's been a real privilege and honor to represent the hardworking men and women of the Shuswap.
Happy belated birthday. As you said, 4+ decades in Sicamous. You were CEO of Twin Anchors, of course, related to tourism. So I just want to know if, as the MLA for the area, can you give us a bit of an update maybe on how the tourism industry, which is so huge, how it's been doing given the effects of COVID?
Yeah, so as you know, with some of the travel restrictions, it's been very tough for businesses over the course of the winter. Most businesses I spoke to in the Shuswap had a fairly decent year last year. So we rely more on regional travel. Folks from Alberta and Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and other British Columbians that come to enjoy the beautiful Shuswap. So we did actually fairly well, much better than other destinations like Vancouver or Southern Vancouver Island that rely quite heavily on international travelers. So their tourism industry was really decimated last year. And so we were fairly fortunate to have had a pretty decent year last year in spite of COVID. And, as we see people getting vaccinated now and with the opportunity for hoping to get back to more normalcy this summer, there's a lot of optimism out there. And so we're hoping that we can see a bit of a return to more normal travel in and around the region.
Yes, optimism is good, very much needed during these times. This past Monday, there was some tough news for restaurants. All food and liquor serving premises in BC must only provide takeout or delivery for the next 3 weeks, starting this past Monday. So just want to know, how can people in the Shuswap and Salmon Arm here, how can we help our local restaurants?
Well, as we see the sunshine starting to return to the Shuswap, obviously opportunities for patio dining certainly is there. And I think that folks obviously have been very supportive of local businesses with ordering takeout and that sort of thing. But, I got to share with you, Nathan, it's really disappointing that we've seen, COVID case counts go up over the last number of weeks. And in spite of that, government has made basically overtures to the industry that things were in a good light. I think Premier Horgan indicated that, there was light at the end of the tunnel and things were going to get better. And within, 3 short days, suddenly they had to shut things down. So some of the restaurateurs I've talked to, they're really disappointed in the mixed messages that are coming from government. So just as recently as last week, they were saying things are good. Businesses started to increase the inventories. And then on Monday, with really no notice, within 24 hours, they're having to actually shut down in-dining service. So it's going to be tough. And of course, for many of our youth in the area and especially females that are largely employed in the tourism and the restaurant sector, they're going to be without employment largely for the next 3 weeks. So, it's just another hit and knock on businesses. And the other piece of that is that, for government to announce this further 3-week, in essence, closure for any of the in-dining restaurants, it's there's no supports coming with it. And so, when government comes out and although there's obviously the support for doing everything we can to keep the COVID case counts down, we do rely on government to provide clarity. And that is something that we haven't seen. So definitely lots of concern with the restaurant sector in and around the Shuswap.
So let's get to some hockey talk. The BCHL is back as of this weekend. The Western Hockey League also returned not long ago to the province as well. As the MLA for the Shuswap area, just want to know, why do you think it's important, and how important is it that these teams are now allowed to play?
Yeah, incredibly important. You know, a big supporter of youth sport. Previous to getting into politics or businesses, actually, we're big supporters of the Silverbacks. I don't think you can think of Salmon Arm without the Silverbacks being synonymous with the community. It's a great opportunity, typically just for, young hockey players to actually advance their careers. And of course, when we have the opportunity to yet return to the stands, that brings significant economic impact to small communities around the province. So, it's just such a great opportunity for, not just for fans, but also obviously for the players themselves to excel and to continue to expand their talents and look to where those careers might take them, whether it's, into a college type program with scholarships or to actually advance into the NHL.
Now, as I'm sure you know, the WHL and the BCHL have asked the provincial government for financial support. And in fact, at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of March, Shirley Bond kind of had a bit of a viral clip where she pressured, or where she asked in question period the premier if that support would be given. So why do you and your party, why do you feel that this financial support, you mentioned economic benefit, to communities, is there anything else? Why do these leagues deserve some financial support in these tough times?
Yeah, well, I think, it's the responsibility of both our federal and provincial governments to provide supports for businesses. We know that government's largest single source of income is through personal income tax, and governments need to make sure that they're helping to provide the protection for businesses, whether that's hockey clubs like the Silverbacks or other businesses, that they actually have the necessary support so that they can live to yet fight another day and continue to provide the basic fabrics of our communities. And so Shirley Bond is the interim leader of our BC Liberal Party, a colleague and a close friend. And we as BC Liberals just very supportive of government. You may know that last March, we got together in an unprecedented fashion and approved a $5 billion spending plan, which provided government the necessary funds in order to provide those necessary supports. Unfortunately, it's been very slow coming out the door. And so as we see the opportunity to provide those supports for businesses, it's our job largely as the official opposition to encourage government where we see shortfalls or failings within some of their policy to make sure that we provide those necessary supports for organizations like yourselves.
I just want to touch a little bit on the economic benefits that these teams, we're talking 17 BC communities in the BC Hockey League, 5 Western League teams. I'm not an economics guy. I'm just a hockey nerd and I love the game. So maybe we can delve a little deeper. So you always hear economic benefit. What does that actually mean? How is it that teams in these communities help? What does it mean to have an economic benefit?
Well, as we talked about, obviously there's a lot of funds that flow through your organization. I believe there was the Salmon Arm Economic Development Society did a fairly in-depth report talking about some of the economic benefits that actually flow to communities, specifically through the Silverbacks. $1.5 million a year, I believe, was kind of the number. We just have to have a look at the increase in hotel occupancy, obviously, when things are opening and we're having teams travel around the province. And so, there's so many other opportunities, and, a great organization like the Silverbacks also provide a lot of foundational skills and community engagement for your players, whether it's attending, Remembrance Day celebrations, participating in the Salmon Arm Fall Fair, and many of the other business outreach opportunities you have. And as well, many of those young players also spend times in the elementary schools, which, provide the opportunity for mentorship and to try and encourage, our youth to actually improve their stock. And I think it's just a great opportunity, obviously, for Salmon Arm and for surrounding communities. Sport is good. We need to stay healthy and active. And we're really blessed and fortunate to have the Silverbacks as such a major contributor to the local economy in the Shuswap.
Perfect. We're almost out of time. Just lastly here, I know the team can't play at home, but how excited are you, and how will you kind of be following along and keeping tabs on the team this season?
Well, thank goodness for live streaming. So we'll be keeping a close eye on things. So yeah, certainly excited about seeing the Silverbacks back on the ice and actually providing that opportunity for fans to participate, even though it's remotely. And just a great opportunity again to see the Silverbacks back on the ice. So go Silverbacks.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan.